أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So this is our third session for seeking refuge with God from Satan. We were studying from the 13th flash as a interpretation of I seek refuge with God from Satan that occurs in terms of the verse, and say, O my sustainer, I seek refuge with you from the whisperings of the evil ones, and I seek refuge with you, my sustainer, lest they should come near me. And in the very high level, so the idea of Satan is out there. We have been exposed to it since our childhood. It's not only for Islam. In Christianity, in Judaism, like Satan, the idea of Satan is everywhere. But of course, there are a lot of questions that maybe are not asked, unasked. Since something is too much in the air, you take many things for granted, and many of the questions are there, but we never tend to ask them. So in this series, we are covering those questions that might come to mind. And inshallah, today we will continue with the third indication. So who wants to read? So since, I guess, oh yeah, let's send it wherever it goes. Oh, sorry. I just throw it that way. Whomever takes it. So it's third indication. This is from 13th flash, third indication. It should be somewhere around page 106.
Assalamu alaikum. The third indication. Question: the very great complaints and massing of forces against the people of misguidance in the all-wise Quran does not appear to the reason to be conformable with its equitable and apt eloquence and the congruence and moderation of its style. It is quite simply as though it is mustering armies against a single man. It threatens him on account of one minor action as though he had committed thousands of crimes. It affords him a position and complains about him as though he were an aggressive partner, despite his being bankrupt and having no share of the property. What is the reason for this and the wisdom in it? The answer: the reason for it is this: because the evil spirits and those who follow them take the path of misguidance, they can cause great destruction with a small act, and they can violate the rights of many creatures and cause much harm with a small deed. For example, by some small action or neglecting a small duty, a man on a king's large merchant ship can be the cause of all the efforts of those employed on it, and all the fruits of their labor being lost and going for nothing. The illustrious owner of the ship therefore complains about and threatens the rebellious man in awesome fashion on account of all his subjects who are connected with the ship. And he inflicts a terrible punishment on him, taking into account not his insignificant action, but its dreadful results, not in his own name, but in that of the rights of his subjects. In exactly the same way, through their apparently insignificant mistakes and sins, the people of misguidance, Satan's party, who are on the ship of the earth together with the people of guidance, transgress against the rights of numerous creatures and nullify the results of their elevated duties. The monarch of pre-eternity and post-eternity's awesome threats and complaints about them, therefore, and his mobilization of forces against them are pure wisdom within perfect eloquence and are most apt and appropriate. It is in conformity with the requirements of the situation, which is the definition of eloquence and its basis, and it is free of exaggeration, which is wastefulness in words. It is clear that the person will be wretched who does not take refuge in a secure stronghold in the face of terrible enemies who wreak much destruction with little action. O people of belief, such a heavenly stronghold of steel is the Quran. Enter it and be saved.
Jazakallah khairan. So how does the question go? Do you resonate with the question? Let's start from there. The Quran complains about people of misguidance. Why so? I guess we can ask the question from a different lens as well. Like, for example, let's say you made such a good discovery. You published the best of the papers, you know all the experiments, you're so comfortable about what you have written. And then maybe a primary school dropout comes and start talking about your paper. And then you take this guy serious and start complaining about that person. Like, no basis, no nothing. The guy is just talking without any knowledge. Yet, would you take that person and like try to give any answer to whatever gossip that the person is trying to distribute? Quran is speaking about people of misguidance so strongly, but why? So to reread the question slowly once more, and then I'll take your opinion. The very great complaints and massing of forces against the people of misguidance in the all-wise Quran does not appear to the reason to be conformable with its equitable and apt eloquence and the congruence and moderation of its style. It's quite simply as though it is mustering armies against a single man. It threatens him on account of one minor action as though he had committed thousands of crimes. It affords him a position and complains about him as though he were an aggressive partner, despite his being bankrupt and having no share of the property. What is the reason of this and the wisdom in it? Oh. Or one can also say, at the end of the day, the guy is just a denier. Like, what's the big deal that Quran keeps bringing up this thing, especially in the current culture? Like, okay, I believe in God, you don't believe in God, we respect each other. Not a big deal. This is the attitude nowadays, right? But Quran is taking it quite serious and saying that, no, it's a big deal. You are a single person. Like, I mean, what does God lose me denying him? Like, why so big deal? Why are you wasting space in your speech for such an insignificant act of such an insignificant person? Like, this is the type of the question. Yeah.
I guess a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the seeds, and if there's a person who plants seeds and a lot of them rot, but 10 of them flourish, right? That's more important. That makes me think that the purpose of humans, of us as a creation from the Creator, is to all the things, reach him, right? Have a connection with him, get to know him, worship him. And I think of an example. Let's say I come from a Muslim family and I come to Drexel, and I've been really good with my good deeds, with my prayers and my worshiping, my connection to my Creator. And then there is one person that, they may not be ill-willed. They might not be wanting to harm me or to harm anyone, but they might say, I don't know, it can be something really tiny or really strong. It can be going from like, oh, let's go to a party, or, oh, it's almost going to be Asr, but please come, like, skip it, come have lunch with me or dinner. Slowly, this is a great threat to this imaginary person, who is really good with their worshiping, because then that person like slowly disconnects from, like, with their Creator. And this can be like, this can have like a domino effect, because maybe some other person sees this pious person as like a reminder to keep worshiping. So at the end of the day, this one person may be destroying so many people's relationships by doing something that, while it's not bad, right? Like, while it's not, I forgot what it's called. Like, it's not as though he had committed thousands of crimes, but this one crime of severing the connection with a believer and their creator is horrible, because that's what humans were meant to do.
Okay. Yeah, very, very good point. That's correct. So there could have this sort of an effect where somebody is just coming in, telling you to ignore. So simply inviting you to be idle. But being idle is also taking you away from something. So that's correct. Sister Zareen has a comment there.
I was thinking about, I guess, in both the second indication and this indication, about the statements that kind of relate to the wisdom of things. So last week we were talking about how there is a wisdom in the existence of Satan as sort of a method of instruction for us as humans to learn. And here too, it's describing the wisdom of sort of the people of misguidance spreading their, or sorry, wisdom again of the warnings and the like threats against the people of misguidance. So I guess maybe like sometimes I think, if I see a wisdom behind things, like behind the existence of Satan, one thing that was running through my mind was that maybe I might take the threat of Satan a bit lightly, instead of like maybe still seeing the Satan's existence as a wise instruction for me, but not letting that, like, I guess not letting that be an excuse to sort of ignore the like threat, or the magnitude at which like sort of what the people of misguidance sort of offer, or what I guess what they don't offer. So I guess this question kind of resonates with me because I guess for me I see it as there's a purpose behind it, but you shouldn't take it lightly, is how I'm kind of, to put it shortly, how I'm seeing it.
Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum. I think this is such an important question because how I read it is, it's a question that we encounter, we probably think of all the time. Like, oh, there's this person, he or she, like, they plant trees, they take care of animals, they're a good person. Yeah, they're an atheist, but they're a good person. So what's the big deal? Why is the Quran speaking of them in such harsh terms? Right? I think that's the actual question at hand. Does that seem fair? Right? That's kind of, and I think it's quite amazing that Imam Nursi raises this question, because it's such a contemporary question as well. We're like, what's the big deal? They're a good humanistic person. And so just articulating it first in those terms, right? In the terms that I think we often encounter is helps. And then secondly, I guess, as we look at the answer, I mean, we're still looking at the question right now. Maybe we can think about, like, what is this great destruction? Like, what is the great destruction that this belief causes, even though it's just one person? But I just wanted to pose it like that, like, yeah, this is the question I have too, right? Just phrased differently.
Jazakallah khairan. Yes, I guess you heard that version of the question, right? Like, that's a good person, atheist, but a nice person. But Quran talks about that person as if that person is just doing the biggest of the crimes. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't steal anything. So why talking so harsh and even threatening with hell, or even saying like the angels and the creator and everybody is against them, like putting armies against such a single person's apparently insignificant mistake. Okay, so you read the answer as well. So just I'm going to reread the first short paragraph and then we can talk about the answer as you read it before. Because the evil spirits and those who follow them take the path of misguidance, they can cause great destruction with a small act. And they can violate the rights of many creatures and cause much harm with a small deed. Like an environmentalist atheist. But atheism is an active stand, like I am denying, okay? So one person might be ignorant that this is still a harmful act, but atheism, I guess, is a little more extreme. It's saying that no, God does not exist. The whole existence is just meaningless, random acts. But that person is an environmentalist. Like, what sort of harm is this person giving to other creatures? He's an environmentalist and also a humanist. Not even killing a small, and also vegetarian, okay? So we are imagining the case where not harming any human being, not harming any animal, just trying to preserve the nature, okay? So let's imagine the nicest atheist we can imagine. But apparently still, in the eyes of Quran, this person is making such a huge crime to the rights of the creation or creatures. How come? Does this question now? We talked about the best person that you can imagine. What sort of a harm, what sort of violation of the rights of creatures that the text is talking about? What right? Because in the eyes of our, I guess, civilization, right to live is the most important right. And our imaginary atheist is respecting this right. Doesn't kill animals, doesn't kill plants, armed against climate change and everything. So what sort of a violation is happening here? The answer was in the text. So if you would like to, we can pause for 2 minutes, everybody, if you would like to look at the text again with this lens. Let's give 2-3 minutes for everybody to reread it. And whomever gives the answer will get a candy at the end of the discussion. Or we also have, what's it, brownies. Okay, the correct answer gets the first brownie. Okay, somebody wants to take brownies.
Am I representing we? I'll just make a comment as everyone continues to think, because when it says they can violate, like those who follow the path of misguidance can violate the rights of many creatures, the question that came to mind was, do we see creatures as having rights? right? Because oftentimes within our secular society, I mean, maybe to a certain extent, but like we put animals in zoos, you know, crop land and land including like mountains or forests or whatever is kind of up for grabs, whichever country came first. All right, now it's under their dominion. And it's only recent that, you know, certain countries now, like New Zealand or others, give like legal personhood to forests so that the forest can be defended or like, you know, their rights can be defended. But again, that's kind of based on relative to being a human being. So I guess the question that I wanted to think about is, do we see creatures as having rights? And what does it mean for something that exists to have a right? Right? Does it have a right in terms of, oh, you know, like it belongs to itself, so it can defend itself? Or does it belong to so and so country such that that country can say, hey, don't go burning my forest? Or does, you know, we do it relative to whatever something belongs to, whether if it belongs to itself, it better be able to defend itself. If it belongs to another entity, that entity ought to be able to give it some sort of protection. So that's just my comment. I think it's an important phrase there of the rights of creatures, and how do we understand that in our practical lives, and what do we understand in terms of like, how does belief allow me to change? How does belief change the way I look at creatures versus, you know, how someone with disbelief might look at creatures? What's the difference there? Don't we both try to recycle and not cut the tree and whatnot? What's the difference there? So just brainstorming out loud.
Jazakallah khair. So I think questions are good. It's opening up discussion. Yep.
Yeah, so I read out the answer, and I don't know if I'm understanding the example correctly or not, but a small action by a small duty by a man that he does wrong on a ship can be the cause of all the efforts of those employed on it and all the fruits of their labor being lost and going for nothing. Like that sounds very unfair to me. Like how come? Because like, aren't we answerable for our own actions? Like even with dawa, you're supposed to go up to an extent. Like like it's not your responsibility to make them believe. Your responsibility is to convey the message, and if they still deny it, then your job is done. You're not supposed to like pressure them into believing that. So if they're denying it, how come the fruits of my labor are being lost? Like I should be answerable just for my own stuff. Or am I seeing this? Like, am I seeing something? Like, am I missing something here?
So I guess in terms of the example, let's say we are 30 people working in the same ship, and everybody is working hard, and the captain is just sleeping or not paying attention. And we hit a rock or an iceberg or something because the captain was negligent. And then the ship starts sinking. Like in this case, my small bad act or negligence led to violation of all what you have put forth. Like I ruined not only my supposed effort, but also everybody else's effort. So if everybody else comes and says, we demand our rights from the captain because outcome of his acts violated all our acts. He messed up everything that we were trying to put together. So do we have the right to say this, like in our normal understanding of justice? If somebody messes up, or I guess another example could be, I started a fire in here, in this house, and then the entire street burnt down. Everybody was trying to keep their house clean and safe and whatnot, but my negligence led to everybody's house disappearing. then everybody will sue me because I messed up their home.
Like that's what I'm saying. I feel like something's missing for me because like what if the house next doors they fireproofed it? Like you're supposed to protect your own iman. Like if someone outside of your own sanctity is interfering with your iman, then you need to fix something. Like, isn't that an easy way out to just blame them for you losing your like the fruits of your efforts?
So that's a very good point. Let's try to extend the word rights of creatures. It's not only rights of humans. So how does our nice atheist violate the rights of a flower? And the negligence in this case being, the atheist says this flower happens by itself by chance. How is this? I mean, this is the act that we are now talking about. Somebody is denying the creator. And then how come this denial is violating the rights of a rose? So this is the violation. Like the level of violation now we are talking about is not simply somebody coming and telling you that, Islam doesn't make sense, forget about it. Not that level. We are really at this point. I mean, it will apply there eventually. But how does our atheist, who is trying to preserve forests, are actually violating forests? That's the question. No comment.
I don't know if I fully have the answer, but when I was reading it, I was just thinking about God consciousness. Like when you're Muslim, you have God consciousness in everything that you do, in the way that you think, in the way that you interact with everyone, animals, people, plants. Like you're thinking of God and how he created everything. You're aware of God when you're, around his creation. So that's where my mind was going, is the atheist is not bringing God into the picture because he thinks this just all happened by chance. I'm not really sure if I have the answer about how that affects a good start.
We're not bringing God or violating the rights of people. What's the outcome of the tree that would otherwise happen? That atheist's perspective is nullified.
That's a really good question.
We are trying to think together.
So going off of that, I think we've discussed this before, but maybe like if you sever that connection with God, you're taking away the role that a tree has as a mirror of the reflection of God's beauty and those attributes of God, and you're like attributing all of that to the tree itself. So I think its rights are as a mirror, not as the thing itself. And maybe you're violating them.
If you would like to use other examples, that is fine as well. Like that you can apply more in your, I don't know, university environment or whatever is you're more familiar with. How is it that, like a student, let's take a student rather than a ship, maybe we are students and our ship is the university. So if the student does not become a proper student on campus, how does this student violate the rights of janitor and the teacher and the TA and other students and everything whatever you would call as university? Now, yes, if we take it back to a beautiful question that Sister Ashana raised, what does it mean that the janitor has a right, the teacher has a right, with respect to what? What do we mean by this? so that the dean will come and say that, oh, this student who is not becoming a proper student, and then he starts talking so harshly against such a student, which does not happen in our campuses because our students are customers, not students. As long as they pay, we are happy. But imagine a dean or a provost who comes and talks very harshly about a student which is not becoming a proper student. Yes.
I was thinking also of another phrase used in this text, in which not only does this, like for example, this atheist transgress against the rights of these creatures, but they also nullify the results of their elevated duties, which is stated in the text. So I was thinking, not only do I see these things as, or the things around me as having rights, but they also have some sort of purpose, it seems. Like the tree, for example, like whether it stays up or it gets cut down, do I see the tree as having a purpose that was given to it? So I didn't make the tree, like no one that I observe is capable of actually making the tree other than maybe planting the seed, but everything else I observe isn't really within my control, but that gets a little complicated. But the student, I guess the university example, like the student, if the student isn't properly observing their place as a student, their purpose of using the university as a place to learn, then I'm thinking the right of the janitor gets violated, in that their purpose is also to keep the university running for the students. So if the student isn't properly utilizing the university, then there doesn't seem to be a point in all the employees who are helping keep the university running.
Yeah, so yes, I mean, although not a perfect example, but it applies when the students cheat in my class, for example. That's what I tell them. I'm going to still receive the same salary. You doing your homeworks properly or not is not going to make things different for me per se. If the purpose of me doing this is just salary, I will not get any more or any less by you being a proper student. But me being here is more than salary. So the purpose of this institution and me trying to teach something is so that you learn something out of this. And by not doing your assignment on time and taking one step further and cheating, you're simply violating the point of having this institution or the education why we are doing here. You're violating your friends, you're violating your teacher, you're violating the education. Like you're really going against the idea of education in the first place. So that person is as if, like, for example, in the United States, if somebody says something against freedom or democracy, since it's such a big deal in this society, then people will get offended. They like, since there's also this patriotism and whatnot, they would say, what are you talking about? To get this freedom, we paid so much, like we shed so much blood and tears and whatnot. So this is very irresponsible. What type of a person are you? Like you should be ashamed of your humanity, they would say, right? Now applied to being a student. So the entire university, even with the building, will be angry with, if you like, the lazy student, because the student is violating the purpose of the building itself too. So then the provost comes on behalf of everything of university, including the buildings, the janitor, the teacher, the other students, comes and talks very harshly about the lazy student, saying that with your behavior, you are transgressing against the rights of numerous creatures and nullify the results of their elevated duties. They are not only working for themselves, but they're working for you as well. And you're nullifying their purpose, which looks to you. Now let's apply it back to our environmentalist, vegetarian, humanist, atheist friend. How come that this Greenpeace member atheist is violating forests? He's fighting for the forest. What sort of violation? What is the purpose otherwise that our imaginary friend is violating? Yes.
That was a really pretty example, and it really helped illustrate the issue. But I don't know if we want to answer that later, but I'm still confused on like what the right is. Like it felt more of me like it felt more to me that the word would be purpose. Like when a person doesn't fulfill their duties, like the purpose for which the other things work is nullified. But I'm still lost on like what the right is.
Any ideas about how we can take it as a matter of right? Yes, Jillian.
I don't know if I'm like understanding this, but I think the first thing that comes to my mind is like the right of their existence. Because like if Allah's our creator and the tree has a purpose, then like and the atheist is not believe in God, then like the tree doesn't have a right because the atheist is neglecting his existence, is what came to my mind, but I'm not sure.
Okay. I mean, let's keep thinking. Let's keep thinking.
I guess for me, the two terms seem pretty interconnected. I feel like when I think about something having rights, it's because they have some sort of purpose or some sort of purpose they serve that is valuable and is worth like protecting, like having, like for example, the rights of these trees to not be cut down, for me feels like there's this protection in place because there's a purpose for this tree, a benefit of the tree that's being observed. And so for me, I guess rights gets associated with like protection due to some sort of like beneficial, like some benefit or some purpose.
So can we say, for instance, if we have a horse and it's a very strong, fresh, young horse, just looking at the horse, you say that this animal is made to run and set free. But I take the horse and I put it into a stable and leave it there. So I am violating the right of the horse because I'm going against its purpose. It was meant to run, but I am preventing this to take place, right? Or you're a person who uses computer for just Microsoft Word. That is your day job, but you buy a computer for $5,000-$6,000. But that is a supercomputer. It can do anything. So you're really violating that thingy. Just give it to somebody who can properly use it, and you get some $600 Chromebook or something, right? So it's related to purpose. But if you use something or prevent its purpose of use, you are really violating its proper rights, because that's not what it was supposed to be used for. You are preventing it to demonstrate itself, first and foremost, or even sometimes you're going the exact opposite purpose of it. So some friend was giving the example of like you can take an iPhone. It's not an iPhone, but imagine it's one of the most expensive phones, and you take it and try to put a nail to the wall. It works, like it can really drive a nail to the wall, but you wouldn't like to do it with an iPhone. You really violated the right of this masterpiece of technology to do such a simple job. So you will eventually, while doing this, you will break it. So what is it that a forest is meant for that our Greenpeace atheist is violating by not doing it for the forests? Natalie has a comment.
In that case, I kind of understand it better. I'm trying to humanize the tree a little bit, but I guess if I was the tree and I heard this atheist guy saying, "Oh, I'll save you for being a tree," I'll be like, "What do you mean for being a tree? You know, like my purpose is to worship my creator as a tree." And I think, like how Ahmed said, to also be a mirror of my creator for other creatures. So in that case, it would be, I'm not sure what the right word is, but like it would be offensive. It would be offensive to, I guess for me personally, like I need to think of an example, but I can see how like someone could characterize me as something that I'm not made to do. I'd be like, no, like I'm not that, you know, like I'm a worshiper. So in that case, I think that that's how it would violate the rights of the tree or the forest.
Yeah. So I guess to make it as maybe another humanly example, in this country, for instance, there had been scientific studies at some point to claim that blacks do not have spirit. There had been scientific publications, quote unquote scientific, just to legitimize slavery back in the day. You don't need to worry about them because they don't have a spirit. Like this was the mentality. In this case, if somebody comes and says, no, they do have spirits, but they are human animals, let's say, would this be saving their rights? Or would still they say, what do you mean by human animal? Are you trying to help me or are you trying to insult me? Like, what are you talking about? I'm not a human animal. I am like a proper human being, if you talk about it at this level. So a Greenpeace atheist coming and trying to save the forest by saying that these have the right to live, but then the tree would say, now we are thinking from the perspective of tree, I am a mirror, or I am a, if you like, representative of my creator. I am here to carry a message. Like, is the word wasila? So in English, if a country sends a person to send a message, diplomat, envoy, so a tree would say that I am an envoy of the creator of this whole universe, carrying a message. This is who I am. And you're treating me just like some living thing? How dare you? I mean, okay, you're not trying to kill me at least. I mean, if you're going to give some sort of a credits, at least you're not trying to kill. But apart from that, relative to what I am, what you're saying is such a disgrace. So you're really ruining me being the envoy. So you're supposed to listen to what I am saying, not simply look for, oh, it produces oxygen and we need oxygen. Okay? MashaAllah. So Mac is saying playing music. Like Mac, listen to the sound and it says playing music, question mark.
Music to my ear.
MashaAllah. Okay.
I'm sorry, I kind of missed the last few comments, but I was just going to, I don't know if this is a repetition, but when I think of rights of creatures, I mean, if we think of our rights, oftentimes like citizenship to a certain country, right? That citizenship or that passport shows that this country will protect me. It will protect my life, my dignity, right? If I'm in somewhere else or against some other person. So there's a sense that like there's a source of authority, source of security, source of support, that has power, capability, knowledge across the board that can protect that entity. And yet, when we think of creatures, I guess, without rights, oftentimes it's that they don't belong to any other authority beyond themselves, right? Or to any power beyond themselves. So I can treat it, or I can determine if it is worth being protected or not. And that makes it very willy-nilly in terms of like who gets to decide that. Another thing I just wanted to say is I was thinking of, this is like a very common example that we give, but it's, I think, a very helpful example nevertheless, is that, if let me see. If Zareen, let's say, has written a wonderful novel, and she brings the book over to us, and she's poured her energy, her love, her spirit into it, something very meaningful into that book. It doesn't matter if I take that book and bind it up in the most beautiful decorative binding, and say, oh, look at how beautiful the paper is and the ink that she used was, or the decorations on it. Sure, that has some value to a certain extent, but by saying that that's its only value, no matter how much of a book protector I am in that regard, I'm insulting the book, right? In terms of the right that book has over me, which is that it's trying to convey something meaningful to me. And I'm saying, no, shush, like, oh, you have no meaning, you have no speech. You're just this beautiful thing that, look, I'm protecting you. What else? I'm being good to you. But by saying that it's not conveying anything meaningful, it's not speaking to me, it doesn't have any meaningful content to offer to me, then it is an insult or an offense, right? As Natalia was saying, both to the book itself and the meaning that it's conveying, as well as to its owner, to the one who's given it that meaning and message. And so similarly, like, it doesn't matter if I plant all those trees and protect the trees, if I say, la, 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 you have no speech to the tree, when that tree is offering constant glorifications, constant reflections, right? Mirrors of qualities of compassion and artistry and meaning. So that's kind of, I think, we always go back to the book example or speech example, but it's helpful to, I think about it in terms of that way of what does one who doesn't connect the existence of that creature or creation to its creator really protecting, and also at the same time, through the guise of protection, denying, right? In terms of magnitude.
Jazakallah khairan. So, any other comments? Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm still not understanding. So, I'll give an example. So when I read this ship, the first thing that came to my mind was the Freedom Flotilla that's actually happening. So there are non-Muslims that are going to Gaza. So how are they misguiding other people? Rather, they're doing the opposite. They're actually helping other people understanding that we have to fight for injustice. So I'm still not sure I understand this.
So then let's try to apply, now that we, I guess, applied it to on a theoretical level. So how come, let's first try to do it with our, Greenpeace atheist. How come this atheist, it's atheist is harming or violating the rights of the tree, but does this atheist violate your rights? Let's take it there and then talk about people in Freedom Flotilla. Because initially, the first example that Natalia gave was a person is coming and saying that, oh, let's skip the prayer or something. But now it is our atheist and coming and saying that trees, they are just random. They don't have any meaning, and actively denying it, or being ignorant and saying that meaning, what sort of a meaning are you seeking for? Just benefit from it and live your life. Why are you getting into these deep thinking? What's the point? Tree is a tree, like it's just wood. How is this violating, or why should you be, because this is where we started from, seek refuge in God from such a thing? How does it violate you? Let's start from there. Then we will come to humanitarianism. We'll talk about humanitarianism next. But in general, how come a denier's denial becomes something harmful for you? Sister Zareen.
Maybe one thought could be that I need meaning in my life, and I pursue things throughout my life, maybe because I'm searching for some sort of meaning. I guess it doesn't have to be necessarily like meaning from like a certain way of life or religion, but I'm using those to like find something worth living for, I suppose. And so if I encounter someone who's saying that like such and such things don't have meaning, I suppose that would hurt me, because I feel like I need these things to have meaning for me to even like want to care about anything, I suppose. I had a second. Yeah, and I guess it's important to also then, in the search for meaning, kind of understand where that meaning is coming from. And so if someone is trying to say there is no meaning, or that the meaning is this, like the tree is valuable in and of itself because it owns this benefit, then it's taking me away from the source of that meaning, the one who gives meaning, also taking away something that I need, and trying to, I guess, or maybe inadvertently to trying to divert me from that. So I think both of those things can be harmful.
When it comes to human domain, yes, because now I guess the example needs to a little become more real. So in this case, let's see if we're going to attend a discussion. You're about to, let's say, you're thinking about, okay, you came 1-2 discussions, 1-2 sessions, and you felt like, oh, it sounds correct, it makes sense and whatnot. But then a friend of yours comes and says, well, this is just one perspective, you know, here is yet another perspective. And then with this attitude tells you something, saying that, because once you say it is yet another perspective, it simply becomes equally unimportant. Because when I say tree is just a tree, like I say it doesn't have any meaning, and then somebody comes and says, no, it is this. I say, oh yeah, in your culture, this is how it is, sort of an attitude. It becomes yet another option. So with that attitude, I am trying to chop off, as was mentioned at the beginning, its relationship with the truth itself. I just make it another equally self-interpretation in a sense. This is how you take it. Then, because this is how it is happening with humanitarianism, if I'm now going to take it to there, in my eyes, the most important thing is for everybody needs to have life, and I'm going to protect their right to life. You think something else? Because we had this sort of a conversation with another friend. My friend is coming from a Muslim background. He was saying that, no, they have to live. Those kids need to live. They have a life before them. So he is so much humanitarian, so that he says, forget about the land, man. Let the kids live. Their fathers should take them out of there. He's not saying this in any ill will in terms of land or anything. He just says kids has to live, but the parents are just trying to defend something forget about it. Just they should live. Life is the most important thing. This was his perspective. From another patriot's perspective, he would say, no, 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 this is our right and we will fight for it. And that's it. This is the most important thing. But what is the point of view of the creator? What is life is for? Is the life for just living? Is the life for fighting for justice in the name of, by justice defined as, this is mine, somebody is taking it away from me? Or is it that the purpose of this existence is to understand what the owner, the creator, the giver of this life is willing me to learn from here, reading in his name? If I take it as equally likely, all three, all four ideas, humanitarianism is just being yet one option. And maybe this finding the purpose, understanding the message of the creator and whatnot sounds way more abstract. Humanitarianism sounds more like, here is the outcome. A person is going to live longer, or the right of life is given. The problem here is, and that's a good act in terms of trying to save somebody's life. The act itself is not wrong. But for what is the underlying ideology behind this attitude? This is like, in whose name this act is being made. This is the problem. If it is being made in the sense of life, I mean, we just need to live life. We will live, we will die, and we need to make the best of it. Everybody has to live life. That's why I'm fighting for. If humanitarianism becomes yet another religion, as valid of an alternative, even maybe more, than the message of the creator, then this is the problem. If a person is negligent of this, now because I think the distinction, he makes sort of a distinction in there. One is actively going against it and saying that, no, 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 it is just the idea. There's no truth beyond this. It's only to preserve life. That's an active position. There's a second position which says, I don't care about the rest. I don't think about the rest. I just want to live. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just closing my eyes when it comes to revelation, purpose of existence, God. I just ignore it. I'm ignorant in the second position. And I just say, well, my stand is, I have to live. The two are a little different. But at the end, taking the stand of insult is the problem. I'm not sure if this was clear enough. If probably there are questions left. If there's any questions, any comments. Yes.
Okay, this might be a little bit like controversial, but what comes to mind with this discussion, I agree with everything. I just sometimes feel maybe a little bit emotional because I am thinking of like, for example, the example Natalia gave in the beginning of your guidance or your faith has to be protected from those who are misguided because their misguidance can pose a threat, not in itself, but the consequences of it. But does this mean that our guidance or our faith is inherently weak in the face of these threats? Like, who is an atheist to like almost jeopardize my faith to this point, you know? And who are they to say, okay, this is, maybe they don't believe, but why do I have to do so much work to rationalize and protect my faith to make sure that I don't derail, you know?
Yeah. So let's answer that question practically. Since the beginning, he was making a point, and he will keep doing this as well. In terms of arriving to a conclusion, you're really putting pieces together to say that there must exist a creator. Let's think about it. What does it take to believe in existence of a creator? What does it take to deny creator? Existence of a creator is, now you're saying that, I mean, Quran exemplifies this, and we talk about this example many times before, but Ibrahim alayhi salam's case, there he is saying that he is being maintained. He wakes up as a proper human being. He drinks water. Water goes to the parts of the body. He's being maintained well. But he knows that he's not doing this by himself. So he's looking for somebody who does it. Like he puts an active effort to find out what or who does this. So he is in a search. He considers multiple options. He says it's maybe a star, maybe it's the moon, maybe it is the sun. This is an effort. And after trying all of them, he realizes, no, this cannot be my maker. This cannot be my sustainer. This cannot be my sustainer. And at the end, he's just, after his journey, he's saying that it looks like whomever is sustaining me must only be the one who is sustaining everything else. That was a long journey. He comes to somewhere. But then how does Satan work, as Quran puts it? Satan comes and says, maybe this tree. You know, if you take from the tree, it's going to give you eternity. Like as in the example of Adam alayhi salam's case, right? A suggestion, something for you to, something that potentially derails you. And you will consider it because maybe it sounds okay. I mean, you wouldn't know without testing it, especially if you are seeing it for the first time, right? And it also sometimes, if you like, comes appealing to certain feelings in you because you want eternity. And it seems to be a quick shot. Just get from the tree, eat it, and you get it, right? It seems to be an easier shortcut. Why not take it? So that trick, and we fall for it. Like in your life, let's say you memorized Quran in your home country, you studied religion this and that year and whatnot. You come to this country, let's say, and it looks like being religious is not a good thing. Like in your country, you were maybe being, whenever you get into some congregation, they would say, oh, you're Hufaz, so sit here and whatnot. You were receiving respect. You come here, they say, you memorized Quran? Come on, like you really wasted your life for that? And they start looking down on you. And then they say, but when a lawyer gets into the room or a professor gets into the room, that professor receives the respect, right? They say, maybe if I become a lawyer or I get PhD, maybe I'm going to get respect. Maybe I was wrong in my country. Isn't this a feeling that you go through, like in your practical life, right? Because human is a complicated creature. Even if you might be so convinced in your own territory, when you come to a different territory, it's not going to be as easy. Now you need to tackle this new, although baseless and nonsense, but seemingly has a lot of supporters of this ideology saying that, yeah, once I get the PhD, I'm going to receive the respect, and then I will feel satisfied. It takes time to realize that actually, no, it doesn't. But it will take some good years of your life. So this is why with these small acts, with small baseless lies, if you like, Satan and his company is potentially deviating us from our path. This is why the Creator is saying, be vigilant. Like these are baseless suggestions, but it sounds okay if you're not paying attention. And especially if you hear it for the first time, you say, why not? I don't know, there are many philosophies that I have been hearing about them. I didn't read about them yet. I was entertaining to read some of them nowadays. And I know that if I get into that, it will take, at least, if I'm going to be honest with this ideology, at least it will take 1 year for me to spot where the problem is in this ideology. Because if you're hearing for the first time, I don't know, some philosopher, some European philosopher who really left a mark on civilization mind nowadays, 100 years passed, and still we are talking about the ideology that the guy put forth back then. Humanity couldn't overcome that ideology yet. Although it's messing up with our social life, like nihilism was put forth, still humanity is struggling with this, right? So read nihilism from its source and see how long it will take for you to spot where the problems are. It will take time. It doesn't happen over like momentarily, right? Further, considering that we are coming through that ourselves, coming through that education system. So this is why being vigilant is what Quran is suggesting. So Quran says by doing a small act, they do have big outcomes, potentially big outcomes, because it's a lie, a baseless thing, but spotting it is going to take effort. What does the author suggest with the last paragraph? It is clear that the person will be wretched who does not take refuge in a secure stronghold in the face of terrible enemies who wreak much destruction with little action. O people of belief, such a heavenly stronghold of steel is the Quran. Enter it and be saved. So Quran is going to be my protection in the light of these ideologies then. Because how am I going to spot the problem in there? I mean, I personally was exposed to such an idea. There was something wrong with the idea since the beginning, but it was coming through some friends. Like some Muslim friends that I know, they were super excited about the idea. I said, okay, I trust these guys, but the idea doesn't make sense. But my friends are accusing me of being close-minded. This is why I'm not open to this idea. It really took 3-4 years for me to see the real roots of this, where the idea is coming from, and why it's wrong. And still, those old friends still think that I am so hard-headed. So it's not that easy. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. I don't know. At first, I was kind of convinced, but now it's
Okay.
not working. So I like the example that Aishanur gave about the book, you know, that you're, although you're acknowledging that this is a nice book made, like written on the best paper and whatever, but you don't see the message of it, you're basically, it's a loss, you know, you're not recognizing like the real thing, why this book exists. But that's kind of clear. But when it comes to a tree in a forest, we're saying that like an atheist, he just believes or he knows, you know, that this tree can provide can provide like shade, can help like this oxygen, is good for the soil and whatever. So, and it's good for us as humans. So that's why we have to save the trees. And then a religious person or a Muslim would say, or how we should look at it, you're saying is that this is this is a creature, this is worshiping a creator, and this is conveying a message of its creator. So it has also an owner. And I don't understand why being a worshiper and being an envoy is a better, let's say, a more elevated position than being something that is like saving us as, you know, like serving us as humans. Like, why is that a better thing? And then if we apply the example of the book and the tree on like what Arsalan mentioned, like the Freedom Flotilla, are we saying that these people are harming, or not harming, but basically, I don't know, like the word, they are not helping the people of Gaza the way they should help them, or because they are not looking at them as worshippers? I mean, they are looking at them as equal human beings that need to be saved. I don't see how that by itself can be, even if they don't consider them as, you know, creatures or worshippers. It cannot, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think about it, but by no ways I can imagine that this is a harmful thing. And then in the book, it's saying that this is harmful for us as believers. I feel like if me as a Muslim and I see that these atheists or whatever they are, non-Muslim, non-believers, going to save, you know, the Muslims of that land, and other Muslims are just sitting there and doing nothings, maybe the other people who are claiming to be Muslims are more harmful to my iman than, you know, these
non-Muslims who are, are doing this favor to the people of Gaza. So I don't know. It's a lot of
Okay, so-
sorry, it was a lot, but it was just
So, in the example that I gave earlier about slavery, so people are, let's say, treating slaves like material, nothing, harming them. Somebody comes and says, no, 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 they are human animals. They have the right to live. We cannot kill them. That's better than killing them. Agreed. But is this a respectful attitude? Or even if they were to say, let's see it this way, I mean, we have to protect them just so that we can benefit from them. This might be one aspect, and there's a benefit in it. So you would say you're just trying to abuse them. This is why you're trying to save them. This is bad. But let's say it says we are trying to, like they're human animals, so they have the right to live. So this is why they should be protected. Is this making a service to the proper human being a human, or is there an insult? This is the type of discussion that's happening in here. It's not about they're doing something bad by saving them. Atik, let him be. So in this regard, yeah, they're not killing them in this example. But what's the reason or the motivation for doing this? It's not respectful either for the proper doing of it. So because in your comparison, it's going into another territory of a Muslim, which again, we are going with identities then, who calls himself a Muslim or whatever, not trying to help them. So this is why I think that question is somewhat becoming a little weird in there. This is why I was trying to take it to humanitarianism in general, because it's an ideology which is a perfect, as it claims, a perfect alternative to religion. It says religion is just made up. We are trying to fool you. The purpose of this life is to live, or I have the right to live, and I'm trying to treat humans as humans. That's all it is. All the religions, whatever say, it sucks. We are doing a better service. Actually, that's how you should do. This is what it says. So I would say no. Anything is done in the name of humanitarianism is, since it's being presented as an alternative to the true message, and true message in my eyes is not yet another alternative, but it is for a human being, if there is no purpose, no meaning, no eternal, like after life of this life, you're insulting human, as if you are feeding humans' heart or brain through their mouth to fill their stomach. I would say this is a huge crime. Like anything that's done in the name of humanitarianism, even if it is saving somebody's life, I would say this is something good being done for the wrong purpose. I wouldn't take this. So, for example, if somebody makes you a compliment for the wrong reason, would you accept this compliment? Like you are covering your hair for your belief. Somebody comes and compliments, oh, this is a very nice fashionable wear. Congratulations. Would you accept this compliment? Or would you say it's not a piece of cloth? It's not there for fashion. Sorry. Like I wouldn't accept this compliment, you would say. Or so because that person is seeing it as, oh, you're just trying to beautify yourself and whatnot, you would say, no, I don't. That's not the point of it. It's way more meaningful than what it actually, the way you're saying it is accusing me of something totally different. So you wouldn't buy to this. So this is why when humanitarianism comes and says, we are doing it for the life, and life is in itself valuable, I would say, no, it is not. Life in and of itself is not valuable. Because if there is no giver of life, if there is no afterlife, Nietzsche would be right. Life is sort of like its absurdity. It better end before it naturally ends because it's a torture. that would make more sense. Like really, if I were to put humanitarianism and nihilism side by side, I would say nihilism makes more sense than humanitarianism. So any act made in the name of humanitarianism, I would stand up against it. I would say the act is a good act if done for the good purpose. If the act is being done for the wrong purpose, for promoting the wrong ideology, I wouldn't support it. So that would be, I would like to make that distinction. If I am going to be, let's say, fighting shoulder to shoulder with such a person, I would say, I do this for a totally different reason. I don't do it for the reason that you are doing. That distinction needs to be made. But apart from that, I would like to make one tiny distinction though. Even if a person is an atheist, every human being is knowingly or unknowingly a mirror of the creator, in a sense, qualities of the creator. The creator gave this conscience to everyone, mercy to everyone, and this conscience is disturbing anybody, believer or unbeliever. That person acting according to this conscience is a separate thing. If this person's conscience is disturbed and saying that I wouldn't like it to be done to me, and now it's being done to that person, I would support that person. I would say this person is being true to their state of creation. I will respect that. But if it is being, the moment though, it is being done in the name of humanitarianism, then it changes. I would say with your act though, if you are saying that this is the purpose of it, there's nothing beyond this and whatnot, then it's a separate issue. I don't know if the distinction is clear. Because Prophet ﷺ says, like when they talk about the Sahabis were mentioning how about the good deeds that we did before we were a believer. We received the message. The creators, the Rasulullah says, as a result of those good deeds, you became believers. Like those human, let's call the term nature, but I don't, probably it's not proper to use it here, but the human's creation, the good deeds in human, people do make these actions sincerely, some of the times, or many of the times maybe. These good acts are leading them to be open to true message as well. So let's distinguish this. Let's give its due in this regard. This is why I was trying to give a black and white example of an atheist, because atheism means God does not exist. Like he's taking an active stand and yet saying, I deny God, yet I'm a good person. No, this cannot happen, sorry. Because you are denying the right of the creation, you're accusing it with being meaningless, and trying to act kind in the name of your atheism. I wouldn't buy this, would be my stand. I would say, yes, I will protect the forests as well, but for a totally different reason, not for the same reason as you do. So this distinction needs to be made. In my mind also, I would say that, okay, I thank you for preserving the trees, but why do we preserve the trees? I would really start that conversation. Like my friend who says, yeah, we should protect the freedom of children in Gaza or people of Gaza. I say, I agree, but let's discuss why. If this life is, as your atheism or your worldview indicates survival of the fittest, we shouldn't. We should just kill them. Because this is how we survived, per your perspective, right? We were those single cells and whatnot. I survived because I was fitting the rules and whatnot better than those other creatures out there. Since they are not fit anymore, they are powerless, they deserve to die. Isn't this what your ideology says? then let's go with it. So in this regard, I think taking such a stand makes more, at least, sense to me, the way I see it. Still, there's something not going well, I guess.
No, I do agree with what you said. I think it does make sense. I just like did not agree with the last sentence about what does it mean, like the survival of the fittest? Because while when like from an evolutionary perspective, like a survival of the fittest might mean just physically fit, you know, like an animal, like a lion, I don't know, eats the rabbit or something. But maybe as humans, being more savage is not fit, you know, but being more conscious, being more humanitarian, thinking more about other humans, that's better for our future, a human. And that's more like, now we are fitter, like we're still serving, we can still serve the idea of survival of the fittest by being, you know, more humanitarian and more conscious about other humans, because this is like for the greater good, like this is how humanity will move forward. It's still an atheist perspective, it's still a survival of the fittest, but it can still fit with like helping others.
I guess the same could be argued for the animal kingdom as well, if only they were as smart as us, isn't it? I mean, since when we say evolution, we don't think any centralized, although we imagine wisdom, but we are, at least the way it's spoken is, the mechanism itself is the central wisdom, somehow arranging whatever is going to be set fit. But when it comes to humanity, we say that working together is to your advantage. Why working together is not considered to advantage of the rest of the species then? Why is there double standard? Because looking at from Quranic lens, everything is a brethren, not only believers, not only humans, but the whole creation is brethren in the sense of coming from the same source. But like physics and biology, it's survival of the fittest. But when it comes to human, why do they change their minds? So I don't know, that territory sounds a little bit, quite a little bit fishy, and the way the double standards that are being put in there. So, but yeah, in general though, at least we should be conscious of in whose name, in what's name those acts are being done. Forget about them. In whose name am I doing this act? Now let's take it to the core. In whose name or how do I approach such a matter? Today, a student came at Penn. This is happening at Penn. What sort of a country you guys have? I don't know, man. But he's from your country. And he came and said, somebody from the army, whatever, in your country, approached this kid, and the kid was questioning, why does our Islamic country not doing anything for Gaza and whatnot? And told him that, oh, secretly, we are training, the army guy is saying, we are training civilians in 3-4 weeks and sending them there. Would you like to go? And this kid is feeling bad that he didn't go. I said, why is your corrupt government not sending the soldiers that they already trained secretly, like put a kufi on top of their head, take out the uniform, send them over there? Why are you like training civilians for 3 weeks and sending them? What's the point? But he says jihad. Like, what is jihad, man? Like, this mentality is so much crooked that, like, this, I guess, anything that's done, I don't know, I guess this topic of jihad really needs to be taught at some point, but defending the land, expanding the land, like the fight is all about this. But jihad or striving was supposed to be for the message in the first place. If there's no message, no meaning, what's the point of the land? The priorities are so much upside down And we already buy into these without questioning them in the first place. And then in this totally upside down assumptions and words that the society has already overloaded them, and we simply inherit them without questioning, to land, to defense, to all these very loaded things. And then we say, oh, aren't these others, what they do is better? Within this framework, yeah, it sounds like it. But the framework itself is so baseless. Why do I not question this? Because is what Prophet ﷺ did to carry the message to someone, what was the reason of that fight versus what was the reason of fight that took 50, 60 years later, again under the banner of Islam, apparently? Were they the same? Although both of them were named jihad, or even today, like, what is it? What's the purpose? What's the point? We don't question any of these. And since the word is always the same, it's always said, oh, fight in the name of God, it's jihad and this and that. That child was, I call him a child, although a college student, so agitated that he is thinking he is sinning because he's not joining this, what the army guy was inviting him to. I said, sorry, but this is total nonsense. What this guy is saying is total nonsense. So what is jihad? Yeah.
I mean, I think we discussed this before, and maybe I'm not the most knowledgeable about jihad, but I mean, we have Palestinians among us, and if someone is coming to take your house or money or land as a Muslim, shouldn't you defend it? I mean, isn't there a hadith from a prophet, "Man mata duna ahlihi fahuwa shaheed, man mata duna adlihi fahuwa shaheed"? If someone died defending his home or his family, he's a shaheed. Someone is coming to steal you and you defend it, you're a shaheed. Maybe now people are politicizing it, using it for different reasons, but we cannot say that in Islam there's nothing called you should defend your land. If I'm living somewhere and someone's coming to take my land and my house away, what am I supposed to do? I agree
with that. You will defend your home, you'll defend your land.
So, and if my neighbor his land is being stolen, shouldn't my duty be also to help him defend his land? So maybe this is at a smaller scale, but it's the same thing what this young man is saying. Like, I mean, everyone's supposed to be asking themselves this question, like, shouldn't I be helping my neighbor?
Very true. Are we feeling a fraction of the same thing when my neighbor's iman is being stolen in the name of humanitarianism? Because that land is a worldly land, and I agree it needs to be preserved, right? But my brothers and sisters' faith is being stolen, which is an eternal land in paradise. Let's again make it in terms of land. How much my heart is moving about this. And this is something that I can work on. Like, how many of us can make at most change to help people of Palestine? Let's do it. And how much effort you and I can do to protect within an arm's reach of a person's eternal life. And what do I do for this? This is what I mean by priorities. The first one, since there's blood in there, it hurts our heart. Young people's belief eternal life is going away. They are living in a hell. What are we doing? If it's not moving me at all, maybe something in here is also as shaken. That priorities is lost. And when this is spoken of, the first one sounds like activism. This sounds like pacifism. What I'm thinking is, Prophet's jihad started in here. If you look at Mecca, if you look at Medina, what was the point of all these fights? Was it for land? It was not. It was a person in his own home. He received revelation. There was no matter of land at the first point, at the first place either. Prophet did not fight for, initially fight for saving the girl who is being buried alive. It was a problem in the society, but it was a byproduct of their unbelief. The whole fight was for unbelief. But if I'm not seeing this and still saying that, no, the girl has to be saved, sure, the girl has to be saved from being buried alive, but it's not where you start from. And if I say everybody, no, we have to save the girl who is being buried alive, and I'm going to be the flag carrier of this, cool. I mean, this is something that needs to be done, agreed. But it's just changing our perspective to the wrong direction. It's not solving the fundamental problem. And in this discussion, we are trying to look at the fundamental problem. Otherwise, yes, even the LGBT community is fighting for the other one. Like, you don't need to be anything complicated, really, to get mobilized for saving human life. That's common human nature, if you like. But the message of Quran goes way deeper than this. So why not we try to focus on this, although 90% of the society who is planning to or aiming to put something together in favor of those people, they're already putting their effort in there. Why not us putting some effort to the proper direction of uplifting the Iman aspect of things? Like, is this pacifism, or is this really dealing with the actual problem itself? That part that I think we need to reconsider. Are they equal? Are they, oh yes, this is yet another perspective? Or is this really the thing, the problem that needs to be worked on? And actually, you have a better opportunity to make, if you are considering making a change, you don't need to get on a ship or go elsewhere. You can just start talking to, you should look for ways to talk to your atheist lab mate who is part of that problem himself or herself. How much are we concerned though? So even so, like, this is the disturbing part. I can be using the other one, my activism on the other one, as an excuse not to work on this one. Like, political activism, sometimes because it is vivid, because it is active, because it is visible, in the expense of not doing my proper job, I might also lean towards the other one. Not to put it as an accusation, everybody individually will know why I am doing this or that, but at least in these discussions, as Prophet ﷺ was saying, when they were turning from jihad and said, now we are going from small jihad to big jihad, let's try to revive this in our mindsets. Yes, the bigger jihad is still with us, but how much am I putting effort in that direction? So I think this is, I mean, not to say that, yeah, if I'm going to work on this, then I don't need to do anything under, that's not the point. But the bigger thing and where we can make a change, and this is how I lately started to formulate it, and I think it resonates better with the students now. I say, what can you do at most for the people of Palestine now? Sending email to your senators. I was talking this with MSA board, making an Instagram post once a few weeks or something in the MSA's Instagram page, making 1 or 2 Palestine-related event per term. What else are you going to do? What else can you do? Collect charity. Like, these are the things that you can do practically. You're living in the US, right? What else are you going to do? I said, but let me tell you something that you can do a huge, has a huge effect, which is now within the society, people are looking at the Palestinians and say, where does this resilience come from? Because humanity saw another war happening right in front of our eyes in Ukraine, which is being supported by the entire West, yet Ukrainians escaped all over the world. They were evacuated. You don't see the same resilience in there. So something is either wrong with those Palestinians or something is perfectly true with them. So this is why there's this increased interest in Islam. Make use of this, like those people started this, and this is the actual fight. Join them in this fight that distribute the message of Islam, because now that people are interested in, go out and invite people, properly represent, actively represent the message of Islam, if you would like to have this fight shoulder to shoulder with the people over there. This is going to be an active role that you can take in this if you don't want to waste the blood that's being shed over there, if you would like to take it. But this is an invisible work. Nobody's going to appreciate you for that. Nobody's going to give a like because of your post, because you're not going to post anything anywhere. But let's do that then. I think this is the most influential thing that can be done for supporting the cause of, I'm not going to use the word Palestine in this case, because it's being used as a Arab nation state, but I would say that as I take this fight as a fight of belief, is the best way that we, every individual in this room, can take part in, actively join, and have a lasting, eternal impact for whomever is involved in it. And this really is aligned with what jihad means, as far as I understand, from prophetic tradition. And this is what I was trying to say to this brother. I said that no, that jihad still continues, and you can take part in it. And you don't need to go with whatever this army guy in your country was trying to fool you into, but actively take part in it. But automatically, as I'm saying this, he's saying that, oh yeah, I'm sending emails to, the senators and this and that. No, I'm not talking about this, but spreading the message, right? So may Allah make us part of this. May Allah make us be in active, bigger jihad in this sense, in this striving for it, and make us earn an eternal paradise, and make people around us earn that eternal paradise. Because, we are over time. One tiny anecdote. One of my students came. He got caught with cheating. Student came in and he just said, I'm not going to argue against it. I admit, he said. But he says, this year was so horrible. This happened, that happened, that happened. At part of the conversation, he said, this year I lost my identity. What do you say? Really, I felt so sorry for this kid. What do you mean you lost your identity? The society says that identity is about genitals, your sexuality and whatnot. And whatever happened in this teenager's life, it goes upside down, whatever. And he says like he is lost because he has lost his identity. What does identity mean then? Like people are so lost. A byproduct of this is this child is cheating in his classes. Not only in mine, probably all other courses. This child deserves your mercy. This child is burning in hell. Many more bombs are exploding in his heart and mind at the moment. So same mercy that we have towards people like children that are being torn apart in Palestine also needs to apply to such a thing. Do we see the pain, eternal pain happening to people around us? Because in America, people are living a luxury life, American dream. We think it's okay, but is it okay? No, people are going through, like the darkness of unbelief is really tearing apart every individual around you. So I think with the mercy of Iman, we need to see those problems around us as well. And this is something within your arm reach. Those people are within your reach. They are not away 5,000 miles away. They're right next to your house. So this is something that we can make a change, if at all. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة